Hello people, this is Ryder here to review the Avataro Sentai Donbrothers DX Ryuko no Geki. So this is the main transformation device of Donjura Goku / Torvald himself. As you can see, Donjura Goku on the left, the Ryuko no Geki itself, the gear that's included, its compatibility with the next review. Then, for some reason, I don't know why, they have Donjura Goku Ultra at the top, to which is the Ryuko no Geki is actually curved when it's the tail. Wow. I really like this box. Like, I really do like. It's still the same style of box from the Donbrothers, but now it's more like, obviously, like Chinese-esque, because of the style of Donjura Goku and Torvald. Here we have the two there, the prominent QR code for the PDF. Then we have the right with Donjura Goku, the left with Don Torvald. Then the back. Okay, so it is only the one. We got the main QR code for the PDF, and then again, just this stock image is cool. It just tells you kind of the same layout as the Dawn Blaster. Just, hey, use the Senpai gears within the next review. It tells you how long it is and such, and I forgot to show you the bottom. The warnings. This is also one of the very first toys to have the Bandai Namco. Gosh darn. So here's the contents out. Obviously, we have the Avataro gear of Donjura Goku, but obviously we have the main course itself, the Ryuko no Geki. This one, obviously following alongside the Zanglass sword, is an impressive length for sure, because obviously this is supposed to be a full-on rod, but I really do appreciate that the actual show prop is this size and such, so then the toy could actually be accurate, to the show, which I really appreciate. And just overall, the design of the changer I really like. Obviously, this bottom half is just red plastic with this bottom piece that's really pliable and such. Obviously, this is the entire rod. This is where you're going to insert the batteries, which is 3 AAAs. You have to unscrew this, then slide this part down, and then take it off and such. Obviously, this is the main portion of the Ryuko no Geki. We get this really nice gold paint around this section, and we got a really nice speaker design and such to go along with the motif of Goku and Torvald. And then obviously the head of here is obviously supposed to be a dragon. And I really do like how these are supposed to be the eyes and such. We had the back, which obviously we got a familiar IR sensor, light sensor, like the Zanglass sword. And we get flames molded in the back and such. But as you can see, there's this decal, I assume either printed, painted, that doesn't make sense, onto there. And then obviously you press this down to switch it to axe mode, to which the axe mode is actually accurate, so that's pretty neat. So then you can do stuff like that. But just simply switch them like so. I really do like how heavy this mechanism is and such. It really feels secure, so then when you actually do hit things, this doesn't like immediately switch back. Although it will, basically for the most part, Like, it's still not the greatest, though. It would just keep constantly switching it back into the axe mode and such, but, I mean, you know, the spear is not that bad and such. Yeah, other than that, here's a comparison with the Zonglass sword. Like I said, it's basically, it's longer, definitely, but it's just mostly because of this part. Other than that, it's mostly the same size, which again, I appreciate a lot. And I really do think these two go well together, because obviously this is the counterpart to this. Obviously, it's just that they decided to make it the changer. So, speaking of that, here's the Avataro gear of Donbrothers. Obviously, he fits the same scheme as the Donbrothers, with the background being gold and Donbrothers present there. I really do like his design overall. B084, and obviously he has a double notch, so he will only work in Donbrothers material. No, he will only work in Donbrothers related items and such. So, obviously, we will on and off switch right there. For the sake of this, we'll only show the top half. We won't show the stick, just because in order for you to actually see the lights. So switching it on like so. Sorry about that. So there we get the dragon. There we get the announcement of the device itself. I really do like that they actually are starting to give these, like, the devices for the 6-member a different voice and such, because it feels like they're doing that now with Sentai, no longer doing that with Ryder and such. And I just want to mention this because I feel like this is actually a pretty cool detail. Obviously, to be more of like a dragon, they added scales. That's really cool. I find it weird that it's only painted from the upper half and not the bottom half, but oh well. Basically, you get standard spear sounds, and then when you hold it down, you just get a dragon roar and such. And then if you were to switch it on in axe mode, you get the tiger and such, because typically you can do that and it will just kind of not do the announcement. And basically when you're in this state, because neither button is pressed, it won't do anything. But then if both buttons are pressed, nothing still happens. So yeah, axe mode, you just simply press this button down and you swing this to this port, like, not port, you swing it down like so. And again, you just get the singular slashing sound. And then when you hold it down, tiger roar. I really do like how this mechanism works. Basically, so when these are pressed, it's basically like a very purple LED, or like a really blue LED. Basically how this works is that you know, each side lights up a specific panel and such, because as you can see from like the light here, for the most part you're only able to see the tiger and such. But if I were to, like, for example, use the lamp and such. I just really like how this is done. Because basically one side, so this side, obviously you can see more of the dragon now, but if you were to light this up, the tiger shows up more. Like, I feel like that's, because this definitely works more for the tiger than the dragon, because the dragon doesn't really come out as well, but, I mean, I just really like how this entire system works and such. But obviously, we're just talking too much, so to transform into Donbrothers instead of, you know, using the gear and have it read, all you simply do is clip the Avataro gear into this convenient slot. So you get the standby, and then you complete the transmission by pressing. So now we have transformed into Donbrothers. I really do like the transformation overall and such. And I just really like how this entire thing looks and such. Just, you know, because it's really unique to actually have a changer out of this series, plus Zenkaiger, that actually doesn't require the device to read the gear. It's actually kind of refreshing. Like, you can still spin it, but that's just because it's using the same port from like Don Zenkaio and such. But the attacks are still the same. However, when we hold down the trigger, we enter the finishing standby, and then just press the trigger. Yeah, so we get the final finisher, or the, you know, the finisher for the spear mode and such. And I should probably say this. Obviously, I apologize that you can actually see. Well, I mean, you can't, but like, you can literally see stress marks here. And sorry, I think it was here. I got stress marks because I was being dumb and trying to throw this one-handed in axe mode, and I was trying to do that for 30 minutes. Obviously, I dropped it a lot. It's nice to hear that sound again. We won't do axe mode because obviously we have to reserve some of the features. But if we have to talk about this because obviously most people are gonna probably ask about it. So if you were to use a gear, first of all, just to show that you don't need to use, you can use any gear. If you were to use a gear in this state of the Ryuko no Geki, so you can hear it's in a standby phase, but then when you press the trigger, nothing happens. And it just does that sound whenever the standby, when you let it play out and such. But like what I said before, when you press both of these in, it does nothing. And then when you use a gear, nothing. So nothing's programmed for this. So, because most people were speculating, oh, this is for a power-up. Of like, you know, for the Ryuko no Geki to become a sickle or something. No, it's just the Ryuko no Geki waiting for you to pick which mode you want this in. So yeah. Again. And I had to show this off because we're not doing axe mode. If you were to do the finisher again, you get that additional phrase, just like how when you do a, just like how with the Dawn Blaster, with every 2 finishers, you get that phrase. You get that additional ending phrase. So it's really nice to carry that over with the Ryuko no Geki. But obviously, this just simply, the Avataro gear obviously just simply presses this down. And obviously, this is obvious, this is not backwards compatible with any Sentai gear that isn't styled as an Avataro gear, obviously because the Sentai gears don't all have Kikai sides and not clips. So obviously the Donbrothers Sentai gear and the Zenkaiger 2022 version, obviously those gears will work, but not the Sentai gears. I feel like I'm just talking about a lot of nonsense. So here's Dandra Goku. We'll use this within the Dawn Blaster. So just the standard standby from Don Molotaro. So there's our first listen of the generic Avatar change jingle, and you know, nothing much. It's kind of like 2 Kaiser, but you know, it's neat. Like obviously they didn't want to, you know, they didn't want like people poking into the sounds to like, you know, figure them out early enough. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. And we won't do the finisher because we have a lot of things to cover, so we will use the Zonglass sword. I appreciate that it's actually gold. And then, to actually utilize this, we can actually use the Ryuko no Geki with the Dawn Blaster the same way. Sorry about that. I think I dropped this way too much. That's not as functional anymore. So as you can hear, it actually does have its own standby. So yeah, we're not gonna show much because we can't, because it's way too spoilery. So we would just show one gear type each. So we will use Don Molotaro Alter, and then we will use Inu Robotaro, and then Zenkaiser for the Senpaijers, because we can't use the Senpaijer gears. Alright. still carries that over, luckily, but I should probably just show that, obviously, it doesn't really matter if you have the gear or not. I want to keep the gear in for the sake of these. So there's actually a corresponding sound of the Donbrothers within here. Like if I show Inu Robotaro. Okay. Gosh darn it. Yeah, I dropped this thing way too much. So that one will actually read it off as a Robotaro, so it will distinctify the normal Avataro gears and the Robotaro gears, just like the Zonglass Sword. Last but not least, Zen Kaiser. Yeah, so again, that's going to be all we could show, because if I show too much, like if I show the Senpaijers, that's too much for this video. So, yeah, I apologize for this framing, but again, if you want to see everything, watch the demo in 2 weeks. Overall, like, I think this is like a really fantastic finisher. I think this is a fantastic changer overall. Like, obviously, it's obviously comparing it to the, you can't really compare this to the Dawn Blaster because it's not supposed to be compared to that. Its counterpart to the Donbrothers is literally the Zonglass Sword, to which I can say is definitely on par with that. It's just that this just has an additional feature of being able to be standalone, which I think how they handled it is pretty cool. What was I trying to say? Good all? I was trying to say good and great. I just want to say this, like, I apologize for all of the flaws that were occurring in this video. Like what I've been kind of alluding to, I think it's because I've dropped this thing too much, and like, I think it's just because I'm bending it whenever I'm trying to scan it, so it can't really, like, work properly. And it's also, I've been having this weird issue of where, for some reason, this slot here for my batteries, they keep melting. Like, the batteries in that slot keep leaking. Like, literally, when I was, like, demonstrating this battery decided to leak. It's just like, I just put this one in yesterday. Alright. Yeah, like yesterday. I just put this battery in yesterday, and it's already leaking. I don't know what's going on, but I'm kind of getting afraid that my batteries that's not good. That's my batteries are becoming bad, or this thing is just wanting to destroy my batteries. But despite all that stuff, this is a really fun toy. I think it is basically I mean, again, it's just not easy to compare this thing because this is not the right item. The only item you can really that this is supposed to be compared to is the Zonglass sword. And obviously, yes, there's a lot more things that we should cover, but that's why you watch the next review, so then that one can actually have some purpose. And despite the fact there's a lot to cover in the next review, we can't properly even show the other mode. So we can't really have like a resolution. Like we could, but it's just like the fact that we can't technically do the other mode properly. Like again, it doesn't matter because it just presses a button, but like still, like we need to do it accurately. So yeah, basically, if you really like the Zonglass sword and want a simplified version of it, but still like in lights, but still carry over the sound, uh, like the sound function. What am I trying to say? Like basically, if you want a simplified Zonglass sword that sadly loses the lights, but still has all the sounds and functionality, plus some extra self-contained uh functions, I highly recommend picking this up. If I were to do this review, I'm like completely out of it.